Hi, this is Michael Uslan. You're listening to Batman on Film.
I'm vengeance.
I have given a name to my pain.
The Batman.
Always waiting for some Batman to save you.
It's simple. We kill the Bat of Gotham. I'm Batman.
Welcome to the Social Hour, a Batman on Film podcast. This is episode number 143, and I am the founder of Batman on Film, Bill Ramey. Let's ride. Ryan Lauer. Ryan Lauer is back. He's riding with me on this episode, and we are returning to our Rank Em series.
Yeah, it could almost be its own category on Batman on Film.
It have
Rank'ems.
Yeah, Rank'ems. It could be its own podcast, of course. Today we're going to talk about, and this one is going to be interesting, I believe.
Yeah,
it's going to be favorite scenes from live action Batman films, and that's wide open. Talk about let's ride. You're on that prairie right there. It's wide open range.
Talking about let's ride. I think you're still cruising. You might have even pulled an all-nighter, staying up last night for that Cowboys game. Oh, that's a late one for Bill.
I have not had to sweat out a Cowboy game in a while. That one was, in hindsight, winning those kind of games, that's when you say, that was a great game,
It's fun. Yeah.
But when you're on the other side of that and you're on the losing side, it sucks. So, yeah, it went down to the end. I got to give Seattle a lot of credit. They came in there and they played their ass off and made the Cowboys have to play. And they played. Came back and won in the end,
Cowboys were sweating too.
Dakota Prescott, Rain Dakota. Yep. Let them down there for a score. Go ahead. All right. And so we're getting into the damn serious part of the season. Bill Parcells always said, when he asked about where his team was, he said, we'll get to Thanksgiving, and then I'll tell you what we are. That's when it
gets real.
It starts shaking out. So that's where we're at. We're in December, December football, and this is what it's all about. So we'll see what happens.
I'm right there with you, just at the college level.
Yeah.
You know? I was sweating it out last week. I've been on, I said that last decade, I was on the losing end of a lot of those Wolverine Buckeye games. Okay.
Yeah.
It did not feel well. Ruined days.
Yeah.
But we're on a nice streak of these past 3 years. I mean, as a fan, the previous 2 years where Michigan just backhanded them in the second half, of course that felt great. This year's game was almost like might be like the best game.
That was a good game.
In a long time. It was solid. Two really good teams. There weren't really any mistakes. The couple that were mistakes were Buckeyes. Michigan capitalized. Anyways, and I know you texted me before the game started and texted afterwards, and I saluted you with the Miller Lite. So there we go.
Yeah, it was a good game, and it's going to be interesting to see how
there's a lot on the line Saturday.
The playoff shakes out. Yeah. I don't think the Longhorns. I don't think they can get. They're gonna be up there, but they're not. I don't think they're gonna make the top four.
They would need so much help, but then also like, even with all that help, I don't know. That'd be tough for them. I think
that freaking Oklahoma loss has been hot. It's gonna haunt them here at the end, but had a hell of a year. And things are looking up. All right, enough of that. Let's talk about Batman.
There you go. Enough of that. Let's talk about real stuff.
Real stuff. It's like just as we were starting, announcer Rachel was texting me about stuff, Graceland needs to go to the vet. She's got to get updated on this and that and blah, blah, blah. And about less than 4 weeks, we're driving up to Minnesota for a week. And so this, this stuff,
Grev country.
Grev. What's funny about that is I'm going to Minnesota, and at the same time he's coming to Dallas.
That's nuts. But why don't you just stay at his house and he'll come stay in the BOF office?
Yeah, he's actually gonna be over there in McKinney. It's not far from here. But anyway, so she's and this and that and stuff. Can you clean the bathrooms today? I mean, and I was going, hey, hold on a second here. I got some important stuff going on right now. I'm talking Batman. Okay, this other nonsense can wait. So
it's almost like same energy of like maybe you're watching like a vlog or something. Somebody's talking really serious about whatever, and then you just hear this noise. It's like, Mom, get out of my room. I'm busy.
Yeah.
Gosh. Been there.
You never know when something like some Kasab will just enter your life and cause all kind of havoc.
Yep.
So all right. So then this rank 'em, like I said, it's wide open. It's favorite scenes, which could be almost anything. So as always, number 5. Okay. Go ahead, Brian.
This one, this was a tough one. Like number 5 especially. I'll tell you that I had 3 that popped in my head right away, and then it was like, okay, placement. 4 and 5 were the toughest.
Okay, yeah.
It's like, what doesn't get to make the cut? So after consideration, and
let me interrupt you, and I apologize, but I will say, let me interject that just about every scene in every live action Batman movie is my favorite.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? So this is it's relative here.
Spoiler alert.
Really,
take 2 of these and call me in the morning. It's making Bill's list.
You never know. All right. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
Making sure there wasn't recency bias, but the Batman ending in the fact of when he comes crashing into Gotham Square Garden. There is 2 minutes. I think I even I might have even checked it of 2 minutes of when Gordon's holding Bella Real and he looks up and you see his look or whatever. And then you hear the sound effects of Batman's bombs going off on the top of that. It's like, whatever. And then he crashes through. That freaking music just goes bam, 2 and 11. And then he just kicks all the asses.
Yeah.
And it's like Batman, oh my God. That's Batman. There's always you're waiting for a Batman crashing through or coming down with his wings spread scene in a movie. There it is. And just, with the music and how he just takes everybody out, slows down and how he starts to fall and he's hanging there, but then he hits that thing that causes the smoke and he jumps up and he comes out. And we saw it in the trailer, how he takes out those 3 guys, with very methodical and to turn around and look and I'm like, oh my God, Bill. Every single time I watch that movie,
that spin around where he's just kicking ass and it's just Pattinson turns as Batman and just the look on his face.
Yeah,
it's great. Yes, that's awesome.
And when the Bat and the Cat trailer that dropped, that was the end of that trailer too, and they cut it so well with the music as he's hitting each one, and then I like that too. Right when he turns around, you get just a quick pause, and then it's the Batman. So it's. I think it's almost like that's the scene within the larger scene, but I count it as just that part of that scene. That for me, still 13 viewings in, I think. And still it hit every time I'm like, God.
Oh yeah. My number 5 is from Batman the movie.
Hey,
1966.
We're going back almost 60 years. Let's do it.
It is. Some days You just can't get rid of a bomb.
Okay. That'd have been my one guess. If they're like, hey, do you think he'd have 66? I'm like, some days can't get rid of a bomb. I feel like that one. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
That's become. Is it hyperbolic for me to say that's become almost a it's a classic Batman movie scene now, even though it's silly.
Like,
but
maybe
it's clever
because,
silly.
Maybe because I feel like maybe general audience wouldn't be able to like instantly. I think the visual, if not like the audio with it, of like some days can't get rid of bomb, the visual, because that Adam West holding that bomb image, I feel like that's very recognized.
Yes, absolutely. I almost feel like you could say that line, and a lot of people would know what you're talking. They could at least say Batman.
Yeah.
But it's just everywhere he goes to get rid of it, there's the marching band, and then there's the nuns, and then he goes to dump it in the water, and there's the mother duck and her ducklings there, and it's just it's I like it. I'm sorry. Okay.
Thanks for apologizing.
I will say this. I mean, there would have been a time in my life when I would have not included that scene during my Adam West. Hey, that's not the real Batman. That's not how Batman really is. But as I've as I've grown older and more wiser, and I've come to appreciate Batman's how fluid and how moldable he is in interpretation. And that was my first Batman. Can't get away from your first Batman.
No.
Shouldn't get away from your first Batman. So there you go.
Yeah.
Some days you can't get rid of a bomb. Number 5. Number 4, Ryan.
Number 4, this is where some like placement actually got a little tough, but for me it's Batman Begins, the dock scene. Basically Batman begins his beginning.
Yes.
I don't know. You've talked about it so much on BOF over the years, and it's brought up so many times and stuff too, but just badass, the tease of that, maybe it was the first official trailer or a TV spot or something that had the "Where are you?" Here, and that's like that's what we were waiting for a Batman movie for so long. Me as a kid that missed out on '89 in theaters, and stuff like, I don't know, as a kid, that 8-year gap of Batman and Robin to Begins, like that's huge. That's an eternity. That's my first Batman movie in a theater. That's what I got, and that was his introduction as Batman. I just thought, like, man, this is exactly what I've wanted.
That was the scene.
Read the comics.
And a Comic-Con, I think it might have been what do they call those wizard ones back in the day? Wizard World.
Wizard World. Okay, maybe Wizard World. Yeah.
Okay, they had one. They had it in Chicago, right? And I remember that's the first footage they screened that no one screened from
Smart
Batman Begins, and that's the scene they showed. The dock scene, and I look, I love it. I know a lot of people at the time are like, you can't see Batman, and then he's. I want to see him hit people, and but to get the point of view from the bad guys when Batman is unleashed upon them was pretty damn good. And then after he kicks their ass, just him stepping over them is great.
And then the exclamation, "I'm Batman!"
Yeah,
you got his "I'm Batman." He's Batman.
Yeah. My number 4 is from The Dark Knight. and it's the Harvey Dent / Two-Face finale where he had kidnapped Jimmy Gordon, and he is doing his coin flip, chance to see the three conspirators: Batman, Harvey, Gordon. What the coin would say? What would just pure happenstance would either take them out or let them live. That's a great scene.
Oh,
All
so good.
involved. Aaron Eckhart is Two-Face. Commissioner Gordon. Gary Oldman. Slipped my mind there
sorry.
for a second. Gary Oldman is great in that scene.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to hurt my. It's just, it's great. Batman. Christian Bale's Batman. The whole thing, and
The way we talked about this past July, you and I did like a Dark Knight 15 years later discussion.
yeah,
And I know we spent some time on this scene because I'm with you. I love it. I love that that's the finale of a superhero movie is like so small in scale, and it's a discussion. Because it's the performances is good, are good, the writing's so good. Harvey's like, I mean, Aaron Eckhart nails it with the whole, we tried to be decent men at an indecent time. Like, I don't know, it's just like, wow, this is good. And then how the results of a coin flip, like tails up, instant, boom, shoots Batman. Like, yeah, that's Two-Face. Like, like not a hesitation. It's just a result of the coin. That's it.
And it's my turn,
Yep.
And
yeah. And the reaction of Gordon, I think, right, like, and the music changes right when he shoots Batman.
Oh, the music is just that's overlooked sometimes. How I remember seeing the first time I saw it. Just the tension. That scene is so tense.
Yep.
So
and
tense.
Right, and I always just interpreted it as, and I wasn't trying to be like think too much into it, but right when he does shoot Batman, that music changes just a little bit, and I always took it as like that's a great cue of like now he's definitely crossed the line. Like, he's gone, Harvey's gone, he's done. And then like that music right after him shooting Batman, it cuts to Gordon, and his like Oldman's reaction to that is great. Yeah, we could go on about that scene for a long time.
Because it's like it's like Gordon's reaction. It's like, holy shit, he's really going to do this because he shot Batman. Just oh, boom,
yeah,
pew pew pew. And,
yeah,
and I I'm not going to get into the this nonsensical debate of like, well, Batman killed Harvey. Well, no, he saved the kid.
Yeah.
Harvey got himself into that position by having a kid, having a gun, and threatening to kill all of them.
Those are just people trying to have hot takes.
Yeah.
Like, get a life.
Yeah.
It's a nod to year one. Like, I always took it that way too. Him saving little Gordon, like that to me, I see that panel from Mazzucchelli of Bruce diving to grab the baby.
He grabs the kid, and he's hanging there.
Yep.
So whatever, but
to me, it's a nod of year one. But great.
Yeah. So I'm focusing on that part. I won't, of course, what comes after is the whole. You could count the whole thing as the ending, but I'll just focus on the Harvey Dent Two-Face finale,
the scene within the scene.
Yeah. Okay. Number 3.
Bill, let's keep talking about my favorite movie of all time, The Dark Knight.
Okay.
I don't know what you would call it because it's the entirety, the middle of the movie action scene. You could call it the semi-flipping. You could call it the birth of the Bat Pod. All of it.
Yeah.
The whole thing is awesome. So you have like an annual thing that you watch Dark Knight trilogy on Christmas.
Yeah.
I have an annual thing where I watch The Dark Knight on my birthday. So I just did last week, watched The Dark Knight again, and I always just like totally focus. I make sure I reserve it for me time, and every time that scene, I never have The Dark Knight on in the background. When I watch it, I'm focused. There's no interruptions. I'm watching the whole thing. But man, every time, by the time we even get to that, I'm just kind of like, man, there's so much in this movie. This movie's like so good up to this point. And then that scene begins and there's no music. Well, there's the little bit of that Joker as you do that overhead shot. And then it's just like, it's just so good. And even though we saw that trailer flips and we saw the videos of it while they were filming it, we saw it in the trailers and everything, didn't take away anything from the movie, like within the movie. And I mean, it's so good. It's just so good. It's sad that the tumbler gets blown up, but then we got the Bat Pod, which is freaking awesome.
Yeah.
So like, okay, and how that does that. Yeah, there's a Batman. And then, that coming at it. And then as he hits the side of that building and does the turnaround and then resets. God,
there was
there
was like audible gasp in the audience when he did the wall flip.
I just want to like yell in the theater too. Like, this movie's awesome.
Yes. Yeah.
Still gets me.
Rack them up.
So yeah, absolutely. And I mean, even when the guy goes up to try and touch Batman's mask after the Bat Pod, because I want you to do it. I want you to do it. And Batman, the Bat Pod skids, Batman falls off. The goon goes to try and touch him and gets shocked. And the Joker it's like he's pissed off at his henchman that he went and touched Batman and laughs. And, like the kick spit on his henchman. It's like, that's it's good. It's good.
It's good.
I love it.
Yeah. I like this job. It's great.
I like it.
Oh,
no, always. And I quote this all the time too. If you want to do something, you always got to do everything yourself. Don't we?
Yeah. My number 3 is from Batman Begins. And it is, as we talked about previously, the dock scene.
But Bill, you can't see Batman fight in that. Sorry.
We talked about it, so I don't need to rehash it. It's number 3. I know it's also, it also counts. We did one with, Batman first appearances, but hey,
doesn't matter. We're talking favorite scenes.
Yeah.
And I was I was really trying to make sure that because like you said, I mean, to narrow down to 5 with all the movies, I mean, that's tough. And I'm like, so I want to try and I could do 5 from The Dark Knight. I could do 5 from Batman Begins. But I was like, man, do I get the docs or do I get Batman and Arkham? Because that's awesome too. I'm like, he's here. Who? The Batman. And then he does kind of this, like that too is like, that's really good. How he takes that guy up and, into the rafters. But I'm like, no, I think I got to go with the first one because that really set the tone.
Yeah, I kind of went back and forth on some because I was kind of in my own head.
Yeah.
Going, well, I've liked this. I think I've talked about this one before, but at the end of the day, when I made my list, I had to go with what came to my mind.
Yep.
At first, first thought. So, all right, number 3 again was for me was Batman Begins, the dock scene. I'm Batman. What the hell are you? Nice coat.
What the hell are you?
Yeah. All right. Number 2.
Number 2. This one's called Descent into Mystery. Batman, 1989. Following that awesome mid-movie action scene where he gets those wonderful toys. After we find out that Vicky weighs a little more than 108. Yeah. The Batmobile through the woods, that music. And then as that music really kicks up too, and like I love everything about that scene. That track I listen to all the time. I love just how, I don't know, it's just like a great combination of visuals, character, and music for that. And as much as like the Batman not saying anything in the Batmobile, we're right there with like Vicky on like, what the hell is going on? You know, like sort of deal.
Her just looking at him, trying to get like look at him at different angles, and he just flicks the light on her.
Flicks the light. It's so good.
Yeah.
So good. Nothing said, but yet you understand, like you get it. It's there of, I don't know, the purpose of it all and everything. And then it is like, I don't know where those woods are that the Batmobile's driving through at first, but I want to go there.
You want to go there. Yeah.
And then,
I want to go there and build a house.
Yes. I'll live in those woods. And every night I just put out a little chair and wait for the Batmobile.
Wait for the Batmobile. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I know Justin, one of these days he'll get there for the chapter by chapter on Batman 89. But he's told me, because I've told him that I want to do Descent into Mystery. And he's like, man, that's the chapter everybody wants to do.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, because it's awesome.
Hey, y'all, it's Bill Ramey, founder of Batman on Film. Let's take a quick pause in this podcast for these words from our sponsor. My number 2 is from the Batman. And it does not involve Batman.
Okay, let me think here.
Which is hard to say because he's Batman in like
every
99% of the movie. But it is the hospital scene between him and Alfred, Bruce and Alfred. So Bruce Wayne is there. Mm-hmm. Fantastic acting by Pattinson in that scene. And it's when Bruce Wayne has his epiphany. Not Batman yet, but Bruce Wayne has his epiphany.
Yeah.
And just the exchange between him and Alfred, and I think at the beginning he's kind of conflicted because he's angry because he thinks Alfred hid something from him. But he's also, he's still trying to go with that. I don't care about anybody. No, I'm not going to let anybody near me because I'm not going to care. But Alfred was almost blown up and killed. So there's that part. And, Alfred has, you listen to me. Your father was a good man.
He was a good man.
Yeah. And, then Bruce, you just almost see it on Pattinson's face. He changes and he tells him basically, and I paraphrase, I thought that I'd put all that behind me. And essentially it was, losing someone I care about wouldn't affect him anymore. And he doesn't want that to happen again. And Alfred holding out his hand and Bruce grabbing it. It's freaking awesome. It's freaking awesome. I wanted to go with Vengeance. I'm Vengeance, but I had been there. I mean, that's one of my favorite Batman scenes of all time. I mean, it's just fantastic. Mm-hmm. But just, I don't know if people get how significant this scene is in the Batman and how great the acting is in that scene and what it means.
I think I really think that scene, if it all goes, it's all part of the plan. And there is a part 3 of the Batman. I think as the universe grows, that scene will get, I almost want to say thicker, maybe meatier, heavier, because we're gonna see this like rebirth, this growing of the Alfred Bruce relationship in this universe.
Yeah.
And that part is like the turning point,
Yes.
So we could get to Batman part 3.
Yeah.
and Batman or Bruce and Alfred and how they are at that point, and you can be like, oh man, like let's go back. And I think through that you can almost look at that Batman Earth One series, which that Alfred I think was a factor in creating the Andy Serkis Alfred. And just like those books, I think you'll be able to do that with these movies too, and go back and see how they started. And that scene you're talking about is where it started to turn.
Because, a lot of, because not to get on start talking about the Batman again.
Oh, why not?
But the layers and layers to it is that, some people, you talk about not rehashing what's done before, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we haven't seen in a movie this type of Alfred Bruce relationship that we saw for most of the Batman up until that hospital scene. And you haven't seen a Bruce like that, where he's essentially just Batman, and so, yes, so people say, well, I want more, I want the Playboy Bruce Wayne. I want I want Alfred and Bruce, and we're getting there, man. Okay. You're just starting out here. You haven't had this type of moment of epiphany with Bruce, where he changes right there in front of in front of you. And I remember Matt Reeves talking about that. This is Bruce going on, having an arc and something that's very emotional that's going to change him. Well, there you go. And like I said, this is Bruce's moment. It's not Batman's moment yet. Batman's moment's coming, and it's right about when you talked about, it was right after that scene where you mentioned earlier from the Batman, where he kicks all that ass and comes
all that ass.
And comes through and does the turn and looks awesome and all that. So yeah, I got to go with that for my number 2.
There isn't a bad choice. Even if you did say, take 2 of these, coffee in the morning, I'd be like, all right, I respect.
I could probably come up with 5 others that could be my top 5 as well. Yeah, all right,
I could too.
Numero uno.
That's
number 1 for you people.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Let me translate. Number 1.
Okay. With a bullet. Dark Knight interrogation scene. And I'm glad that I have one that isn't some kind of like action scene or whatever, but I can't help it either. Like, I like Batman, and when Batman's doing Batman things and kicking ass, it's like, yep, that gets me. Because I thought for sure that I'd have, and I know your feelings on it, but the Batman warehouse scene, the Martha rescue in Batman vs Superman, I love that scene, like, wholeheartedly. I love that scene. I love the opening of Returns, like, and all that. But I noticed that I wasn't having the non-action scenes. And I'm like, but I've got the interrogation scene. And it's because it's 2 of my favorite fictional characters. Oh, it's my favorite fictional character of all time. Maybe my second favorite fictional character of all time. My favorite interpretation of both of those characters. And it's a great dialogue scene of like ideologies. And I think there's just like, it's so rich. It's like an endless fountain of Mountain Dew for me, of like, I can just keep going back and I keep getting happy.
Just goes, and you just put out
it just goes.
Cup, and
my cup runneth over, and I'll make room for more. I love that whole thing. And I remember before the movie came out, they released a bunch of images from the movie. And they did release the one, and we all know what it is now. Batman standing behind Joker, lights on.
Yeah.
And I do wish that wouldn't have gotten released, just because that is such an awesome moment. But when Gordon goes in and sits with him, the evening commissioner, and it's like, oh, Batman's there, because I saw the picture, But how it just starts with that, and how Joker's talking with Gordon, and the camera's zooming in to where it's just pitch black except for Joker's face. Like, that's so awesome. And then the light flips on and it's Batman, and you're getting the 2 and their dialogue, and how Joker it's scary because there's other moments in that movie too where there's some dialogue that he has that's like, okay, that's not far off. I think that is kind of like, that's kind of true, but it's like, but it's surrounded by him doing things that are not good. But
Yeah.
some of what he says with Batman and how he even says, don't talk like one of them, you're not. And yeah, and and then flips like that to the, I don't want to kill you,
Yeah.
and like, I don't know. And then this was one of the first scenes that they filmed too, which is so like awesome. Like, I don't know. I know I'm not saying anything that nobody else has said for the past 15 years, but it's just I love that scene wholeheartedly. And it's just two characters talking. And then of course escalates when he brings in of what's really happening. But yeah, that's my number one. Good luck. Anything trying to beat that it's firmly like solidified itself is just like one of my
Oh,
favorites.
it's iconic. It's an iconic scene. It's a classic. It's no doubt. It's a top 5. It could be number 1. It is. It's your number 1.
Yeah.
I had it. I thought of it. There was just so many.
Yep.
There was just so many. Like I said, I was in
Mhm.
conflict with in my head with this. I hate. I'm like the musicians on the Louisiana Hayride back in the 50s who had to follow Elvis in 1954 and 55, and then
There you go.
so,
We got Elvis
yeah.
in here.
Yeah,
Got
I
the
already worked it
Cowboys.
in.
Got
I worked it
Elvis.
in there.
Yeah.
I worked it
Could
in
you
there.
have imagined your day on set when you visited the set in 2007 if it was to watch this scene? Could you imagine?
Oh, that one?
You got your
Yeah.
glance of that, like, holy
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
You'd have to be like, lock me away for 10 months because there's no
That's
way I'm going to be able to bite my tongue about this.
that's the only, I would say, regret, but only thing that, not a negative or anything like that, but they scheduled the day we went. Not that we didn't
Yeah.
get to see that scene, but we didn't get to meet Heath Ledger.
I was going to say that Heath wasn't there the day
Yeah.
you were there.
He was off that day. Yeah, that at the time you don't think, because
Yeah.
you're thinking, well, he'll be at the junket,
Yep. Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
bummer, still,
Yep.
still.
I'm gonna
still
go.
bummer.
I'm gonna go look that scene up when we're done.
Yeah.
Like that. I'm not kidding on like how much. I could probably go back through and watch all of these. Go look them up on YouTube. But I don't know. I have nothing else to add other than just like I love it. I think that's the way I've always phrased it and talked. I don't know if I've said that before to you. I've said it to Pete before, maybe to my lady when she'll indulge me and let me go on my little Batman tirades of kind of like it's my favorite character, maybe my second favorite character, and my favorite interpretations of both talking. Like
I think
I don't
that
know. Does anybody get that? Like, do most people ever get that? Instead it's like, hey, my favorite character of all time, Iron Man. All right, who's your second favorite character of all time? Howdy Doody. It's like, well, they're never gonna
Yeah.
have a scene together. Like, it's never gonna happen. So
Howdy doody. Oh, I think that was shot at that old post office. I think they turned.
that was
What-
in the post office too.
I think so. I'm
Awesome.
not 100% sure. They did that old post office served as several things,
That's more cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Instead of just the bank. I walked through there.
I
And it was
snuck in there.
it was still set up as the crime scene with the police
Cool.
tape and and the fake, it was like the fake bus that had slammed in, and the whole everything, I had all that carted off and taped off with police tape, and glass
Yours-
still on the floor from the shotgun blasts.
Yours was much more allowed than mine. I
Yeah.
went at the end of 2019 and on a lunch break. I might have told you this, and because I just said one day, and I chose a 95-degree day for some reason, and I walked down there on my lunch break from work. And then I just walked up the steps and I just walked right in. And then I saw that there's a lot of people there and I'm not supposed to be there. So I did, all eyes got on me. I held up my camera quick, took a picture, and then I took off. But I'm like, I went in and I got my picture. So I'm good. And I didn't get
remember,
arrested. So yay.
the vault, I blew my mind, movie making. I'm sure we talked about this in the BOF Chronicles, but they turned like it was old. It was like a post office box room, where they had little individual post office boxes. They turned that into the vault, and then like the whole door was made out of wood. Everything was wood, and it's supposed to be just steel, and it's crazy.
The building itself is huge. There's a really awesome thing that I think you can do in Chicago of an architecture tour, like boat tour, where they take you down the river and they just like, and it is like sightseeing, but you're getting a host that's giving you the history of all the buildings. It's awesome. It's great. And they do go by that, and they obviously throw out the Dark Knight and blah, blah, blah. And they talk about that, but you get to really drink in, because when I went there that day on my lunch break, I was on street level, I was on the road and on the sidewalk looking at it, but you're only getting like the corner of it and the one side. But when you go on that boat tour, like you see the whole building and you go by and it's just like, man, that is a huge building. Really cool too, because it's old, and it's built hand, you feel like it's hand built like the old way they did things. So it looks really cool. But yeah, to think about, we just saw a little snippet of it in The Dark Knight. Just a little bit.
We walked through a lot of it, and it was, like I said, it was amazing to me. I'd never been on a movie set in my life,
Yeah,
especially not production like that, and how they had different parts of that place were turned into different things, and it was great to see all that in there. All right, like I said, I feel like who am I? Trying to follow Elvis here on the Louisiana Hayride. Number one, I had to go with it. This is the first thing that came out. It is. I'm Batman from Batman '89.
Okay. That, yeah. I mean, as you're starting to say that, but I'm like, we wouldn't be where we're at without that.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, I could justify if that would be my number one too.
Yeah.
But we wouldn't. If that didn't work, I don't think we'd be here.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be talking to
no.
Bill,
Yeah, we
Jett,
wouldn't.
Ramey.
No, we wouldn't be here.
If that
we wouldn't
didn't
be
work.
here. There would be no Batman on film, and we wouldn't have this Batman film franchise, this series we've had for 30, going on 35 years now.
35 years next year.
Yeah, that's 35 years.
I know that probably I did this for the Chronicles, but when did we do the Chronicles? Was that 2021? It was. Yeah, 2021. I think we did that. I can remember my first time seeing The Dark Knight in the theater. I can remember parts of seeing Begins first time in a theater. What do you remember that moment in a theater the first time you saw it?
The I'm Batman?
Yeah.
Yes. Now, Here's the thing about that is they use that clip in promotion quite a bit. I mean, it was in that sizzle reel trailer that they put out in
January. To me.
Yeah, January of '89. I am, like I said, I've said this many times. I'm one of those people who paid to see some movie just to see that trailer and left. And it was on, like when they would talk about it on Entertainment Tonight or any of those type of shows promoting, it was all, that. But to see the whole scene, I didn't know the whole scene, is, starting with Gotham City and the family and but then
Night of the Stalker.
Tourist. Yeah. Michael Uslan. Shout out to Michael Uslan. We should turn the gun on that kid, man. You shouldn't turn that gun on that kid. The whole.
You want this money or not? Shut up.
Yes. and just, Batman coming down. You can hear the crunch, the gravel as the boots, and then the cape out, and then it's not an ass whipping like we've come to expect, in this day and age after the Dark Knight trilogy, and then the Batman, of course, that scene you talked about. But him, just Batman on the roof taking out those two thugs.
But
and
it gave and that's, I think, as the years went on and we found out more with the movie and stuff, and with Keaton in those movies, he was a less is more with his take on Batman, which I really liked. So how you just said not the same kind of ass kicking, no, it's a different one, but it took one kick and that guy flew through a wood door.
Yeah,
done. Just one kick. So that's all he had to do with that guy. The next one, all he had to do, is get him, hold him up close. I'm Batman.
I like
Scared the hell out of that guy.
Just with the the batarang, and then he's pulling, and then go, oh God, and don't kill me, man. And just that whole, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to tell everybody about me. Tell your friends about me. And it's funny is that original line was it was the goon says, you don't own the night, and he says, I am the night. And that's how, but they changed it on the spot.
I think that's in the comic, the comic adaptation. And I'm in that. Yeah. I'm so glad that maybe it was Keaton. I don't know.
That's like, what I ask is,
I'm Batman.
Didn't Keaton come up with that? They said it should be on Batman.
It wouldn't surprise me. Yeah. Considering Returns, he cut his own lines in Returns because he found less is more. Wouldn't surprise me if he had that approach. But when we have lunch with him next week, let's ask him.
Yeah. Don't kill me, man. Don't kill me. I want you to do me a favor. I'm Batman. And then just
so good.
The look on that guy's face when he looks over the ledge and Batman's gone.
Whatever that. I always wonder what he's doing because he's like, what is that? Is that a nervous tick or what? Like,
I'm telling you, man, a giant bat.
Yeah, and that's great too. That it adds because it builds on like what we said of his minimal, and he just has to scare the hell out of the guy. And it's like after he does, like we check back in, and it's like, how's he doing 20, 30 minutes later? Like he's freaked out of his mind. It just like it's a subtle build of what Batman just did with them. Of like, I want you to do me a favor, tell your friends about me. Like adds to this mysterious bat creature, that Alexander Knox believes in, but nobody else does, and he gets made fun of. But I mean, I kind of hijacked your conversation on your number one, but
no, that's just
I'm
the
with
whole
you.
point of this is to talking about it.
I mean, iconic, and that's not. And I know that there's always like a couple adjectives that people are thrown around to try and everything is a phenomenon. Everything is cinema. Everything's iconic, and everything was like no. But that one is like that.
Oh, absolutely.
That one is, that one is iconic.
That is, yeah. So there you go. There's our top 5 favorite Batman scenes. And if I did this over, I could have have 5 other ones.
Next week, 5 new favorite Batman scenes.
Yeah. So
my 1 and 2 were pretty firmly cemented. I feel like I couldn't have a list without my number 3, the truck flip and Bat Pop. But I mean, God, I love 4, but I could switch out Begins from his intro to the one at Arkham, the Batman. Because didn't even mention the part of how Crane, taste your own medicine, doctor. And then Crane, that's awesome. And then, like I said, there's a handful of other things that I could put at 5 and feel like I justify it. So,
mention it, that Batman Begins scene, the whole thing that riffs off of year 1, back up and the bats swarming in and all that. Yeah, I could go on and on. We'll talk about scenes from Batman movies that are awesome. There's a lot of
them. Yep.
All right.
Absolutely.
If you are listening through BOF proper, scrolling down to the comments and give us your list and your thoughts on our lists. They're all legit. They're all valid.
course.
whatever anybody comes up with. So that'll do it for this episode. Well, this rank 'em. And so, Ryan, anything you want to finish up with? If not, just go ahead and tell us what you've been up to lately. Plug something.
I like Batman movies. There we go. That's how I'll wrap this up.
I didn't know. FYI, if you're listening for the first time, here at Batman on Film, we like Batman and Batman movies.
Yeah. Yep. Big fans.
Yep.
Big fans. If there is video, you could see that Bill really likes Batman because there's Batman all over. And prominent also is the cover to the Long Halloween. So
yes, I do the show in a Batman cowl as well.
Yeah. Not mine. Remember I sent that picture and said in the Facebook group of my little Mountain Dew helmet that had the straw, and I was like, Bill can confirm this is how I record podcasts.
Yes. It's the one that's the one I got sent from the dude who was the leader of the Citizens for Batman back in 2007, 8. Got that cow. I got recruited to be part of the Citizens for Batman. So, all right.
Excellent. As for let's plug away. You just posted generously on Batman on Film Proper, my latest podcast.
Brian Douglas.
Episode.
That's him. Brian Douglas.
Brian Douglas. All right.
Yeah.
There you go. Shout out Brian Douglas. The Batman Book Club, latest episode with the Italian old Boudin Pockets, Peter Vera. We talk about new Batman comics that came out in November. I always fun discussion. That's on Batman on Film Proper. And then Bill, I didn't tell you, but I spared sending you 8 episodes that dropped before that because I was like, Bill, I'm not going to ask you to post 8 episodes of my podcast. That's just too much. But I did the One Bad Day book series that came out.
Okay. Yeah.
For 8 months. We did 8 episodes of those. Just called it, eventized it with One Bad Month with Paul Herman. And we talked about each one for about 40, 50 minutes. Those are all like under the Batman Book Club, wherever you find that on whatever podcast provider. Those aren't on Batman on Film. Cause like I said, I that was too much to ask.
What the hey? What the hey?
I know.
I thought I was like, yeah, there's
been a while.
One Bad Day shows, and then I haven't seen the Batman Book Club on Batman on Film. Okay, now I understand. Okay.
Yeah, because it could be because we're in, slow. It's all connected. Slow Batman news coming out that, like, would you go to Batman on Film and you could see like the past 5 posts are just Batman Book Club. I'm like, that's too much. But now it's back to normal. It was a fun month. There's some cool stories. I'd recommend some to you to check out. Yeah. But there you go. Rambling enough. Oh, and then my reviews on BatmanOnFilm.com, the Batman title. Latest issue 139 is intriguing, but Chip Zdarsky is bringing in some Batman Zur-En-Arrh and yeah.
Did you read the one? Have you read the new one that just went in there?
Because the new one comes out Tuesday. I haven't read that one yet, but the one that I read is like a murder mystery involving the Joker, and then it builds to a confrontation between the two, and then takes a little bit of a twist or a turn, and that's kind of where it ended. So we'll see. But that review is going to come up on Tuesday, so there you go. I'll read that. That review will be on BOF Proper on Tuesday.
They've even got another one up. Check it out.
That's right.
They just filled box up. All right. Batman on Film. Batman-on-film.com. Check everything out there. Let's see. Is there something going on that I want to mention real quick? Let me look here. Something we're doing. Yeah, I know what it was. 2 things. Sorry about that. Check out my review of issue number 1 of Batman 89 Echoes. It is, I was pleasantly surprised how much I liked it. And I'm kind of hooked. It got me hooked in to see what's going to happen next. I wasn't a huge fan of the original Batman 89 series. Like I told you before we started talking, I was like in the middle, but leaning toward, I don't really like it all that much.
Yeah.
I thought the first Superman 78 series was way better.
Was great.
Yeah, but yeah, this one I'm enjoying this first issue, and I'm invested now. So check out the review, and then I know a lot of people kind of like, I'll just wait for it to be collected, but that's cool. But
yeah,
anyways, you can still read my reviews. I'm not going to spoil anything for you. Also, I wrote an op-ed in response to, and I was very clear in the article at the beginning by saying, this is not in response to any legitimate rumor or news. It's just my response to fan wishful thinking hope. And
Scoop site, BOF.
Yeah, I've been seeing around is people saying, I bet anything that James Gunn introduces the DCU Batman and Superman legacy. And so I addressed that issue. The answer is they ain't gonna happen.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why. And if it does happen, well, read the article.
It's not gonna happen.
I go through all
Read
that.
the article.
I go through all that.
There you go.
I go through all that. So there you go. You have a hot take on that topic?
No.
Okay.
No hot takes.
Okay. All right. That'll do it then. All right. For Ryan, I am Bill. Announcer Rachel will finish up here. Thanks for listening to this new episode of the Batman on Film Social Hour and our Rank'ems. And don't forget, comment. Give us your rankings. And we will catch you next time.
You have been listening to the BOF Social Hour, Jett's official podcast on Batman on Film. Follow BOF on Threads at The Batman on Film. Follow BOF on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Batman on Film. To help keep BOF up and running, go to patreon.com/BatmanOnFilm, or you can buy BOF a beer at buymeacoffee.com/TheRealBatmanOnFilm. For Jett and everyone at BOF, I'm announcer Rachel. Authoritative, definitive, the original, Batman on Film, founded in 1998.
Say goodbye, Graceland.